Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our first Veterans Upward Bound APR Q&A session. So happy to be joining you. My name's Lisa Retamozo. I'm a little bit under the weather, but I didn't want to miss this at all. And we've got with us Mary Meeks, who has had over, I believe, close to 30 years in TRIO, right, Mary? If not more, the majority of that time with Veterans Upward Bound. I'm so excited that you're joining us, Mary. And this session today is open. It's kind of a casual session. We are recording it for those folks that couldn't make it. This will be the first recording. So if you're keeping track, next week we'll meet again, I believe, for the second recording. So we'll have a series of Q&As. So this is how we're going to do this. So if y'all want to be anonymous, which is cool, and just click in the Q&A there in chat and type in your questions. Or if you want to pop up, and it's a small enough group that we can go ahead and let you, if you want to go on camera or just voice your question, whatever it may be. This is a Q&A session. I mean, we can always talk or bring up the format, which I can, of the report, because I'm sure this might trigger someone's responses. So I'm going to let me see, I'm going to replace the current share. We did have a flyer, and Donna will be continuously adding stuff to the chat, flyers, links about some of the service that we have that are directly related to Veterans Upward Bound. But we do have a Veterans Upward Bound 2-day professional development workshop where we cover a lot of great topics that Mary was talking about earlier. So I hope you can join us for that. And what we have here is, I don't want to do the instructions. I want to go ahead and do the fields, and I'm going to bring up the fields, Mary. I'm going to just go ahead and start here, and I'll go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to take myself off of camera because
anybody want to jump out there and have any burning questions that you have, you can type on, raise your hand. We can I don't know, do over that, let you speak.
That's a little bit bigger, and I'm not gonna, no judging here, just wanting to let you know. We'll give it another minute, Mary, and then maybe we just start going through the fields.
Questions. Sure.
I don't see any. And Dawn, if you'll let me know, I'm trying to keep track too. I don't see any. There's someone in the chat. Okay. So again, if you all don't mind, I'm going to answer this one, but we would like to put it in the Q&A because we can get a spreadsheet, a report with all of those as well. But Victoria is asking, are these instructions available for 20 through 24? Are these just edited from last year's on the back end? These instructions that are in the Dropbox, I forgot to mention, you should have received in the Zoom invitation or a reminder, a link to the Google Drive that we have set up. And the instructions there are not the official instructions for 20 through 24. They're based on 22, 23, and we've updated them as much as possible in order to get y'all information so you can go ahead and get started on this, because you should have had this information already for months. So there's no reason to wait. Let's get this thing done. Also, she says, hi, good to see us both. And hey, Mary, so happy you're still involved, especially in this crazy time. Okay, and then we've got another one from Armando. Well, people saying hi. Hey, Armando. And let's see, I don't see any, and sorry if we do have a couple of questions here. Any updates on the Veterans Upward Bound APR opening date? We were just talking about this, Mary. Can you let them know what it was last year? And that's our best guess for now.
So last year, I just had that pulled up here a minute ago. It was the, I think, February 21st. Yeah, it came last year. So no, I don't have any updates. I wish I had some magical anything in sight. But you will, you have to go to the Department of Ed's website, or that they have for APR, and you can check, you keep checking. And so I'm not, we can probably show that in a minute, or Lisa can't, where on her screen, the screen where you go, the website where you go to check and see, and they might, where they would have the dates to show where it comes open. But no, and the instructions that you are looking at, or that we have had and shared and we have available, as Lisa said, these are just updated because the other, and we're basing that on, we don't believe there's going to be any changes, other than the way that you have to have your, the signature page where we used to upload that and you had 5 days to do, and now it has to have electronic signatures and you only have 2 days. So you have to have your person who's going to be signing designated already in your system. You want to make sure you have that. So that those things are definitely so important for you to be able to know. And so you're gonna have that. But these, they've said, and the other APRs, the other programs, Upward Bound Math Science, students, they've already had to submit theirs. They did not have any changes from the previous years. And so there is no expectation. I believe that even through COE and the folks that I've heard, that that there is not going to be any change other than this signature that we have to have from your certifying official, the person who is and certifying official, is that the right word, Lisa?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, that you
yes,
have, who's, at my school, it was the person on our grants, in our grants office, who's designated. And before that, it was our president of our university was the one who had to sign, and I had to go over and obtain his signature. And so you always have to make sure those people are gonna be around when it's due, so that you can get that. But the change that we know is going to be happening has to do with this digital signature and getting that on your signature page and getting that uploaded. We don't think any of the
right.
other questions are going to change.
And I will upload this. I apologize. This document, Mary, I don't have it in the Google Drive for Veterans Upward
Okay,
Bound, but I
okay,
will
okay,
by the time we log off. So you
yeah,
all will get a chance
okay.
to see, it's the same instructions for that Upward Bound had, SSS had, that Talent Search currently has on the digital signature. And you can't really do anything officially until the APR for VUB opens up. And that's when you can confirm, that you're that you have your
Mhm.
certifying official. But you sure can, I would recommend downloading this document and going through the screenshots just so you could feel comfortable. So when it does open up, you're ready to go instead of like, okay, it opened up. Now let me go back and read this stuff here to see if I'm on track and my person's on track. And whoever your certifying official is should also have access to this. So you might want to forward it over to him or her because you both have to have accounts. That's the first thing that it says. Okay. So you might want to check that out. I will put this in the Google Drive when we conclude this Q&A. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. I forgot to put it in there, but
And
that's the only major
if
change, I
you've
think.
had other TRIO programs, if you have any of these other TRIO programs, who have already had to do their APR. So if you have an Upward
Oh, yeah.
Bound program on your campus, or Upward Bound Math Science, or if you have a student support services program, they've already had to do this. And so that person on your campus may already be aware of that. But if you're the only TRIO program, or if your other TRIO programs that you have not had to submit yet, they may be in the process of getting that set up. So you want to make sure that that you have that. Okay, and
Right.
so
So we're talking about this, and we do have a question, Mary.
okay.
I had pulled my National Student Clearinghouse report and
Uh-huh.
asked only for August enrollment dates in college. We are not supposed to report I'm not sure what SP
Yes,
25 enrollment
but I'm
dates.
sure that you're talking about, so if you mean spring 25, enrollment dates,
The
no.
spring 26.
Okay, but she has on here, we're not supposed to report spring 25 enrollment dates for continuing participants. So this stuff is this is something that you have to keep in mind, and that sometimes it causes little errors if you, because there's places that the Department of Ed says, give me the most recent information. However, you have to keep in mind that this report is on, for most of you, what if your program year is September. I know there are some people who have a little bit difference in that, so I don't want to confuse you, but I'm just going to say, so if your year is from September to August 31, September 1 to August 31 is your project year, then that's what you're reporting on, September of 2023 to what happened in August of 24. So there's already, this is why you should have all your data. So however you're keeping your data, if you have a database, if you have Bloomin or, Access, whatever way you're keeping your data and you're making your own spreadsheet or however, all of these questions are things. And if you've done a report, and I know, and I'm well aware there are people who their program has not, this will be their very first ever APR also, because there's some programs that were awarded in, most the second cycle year. And so you're kind of a year off. So this is your first one. But for a lot of you, this is, you're reporting on the second year of this grant cycle that we've just had. And you may be brand new at having to do this yourself, but your program is not new. And so sometimes that makes it even more confusing, because it's like, okay, wait a minute, this looks like it means one thing to me, and I'm not sure, what this is. And so we want to try to help clear that up. And I'm glad that, Lisa stopped on, one of the questions that we get about this first date of post-secondary enrollment. And I believe, Victoria, that's what you're talking about. Oh, okay. So 26 for sure. We're not, when you're getting your National Student Clearinghouse stuff, you're trying to look at what happened. So this is what we're trying to report on. What happened from September 1 of 23 to August 31 of 24. And if your months are a little bit different, if your program doesn't start till October 1, please know it's, from October 1 to September 30. But we're trying to find out what happened in this program year. And so you've got kind of two sets of folks. You've got your folks who were your active participants, that 125 or more, whatever your program is funded to serve, your funded to serve number that you needed to meet. You have those folks you're going to try to be answering on, okay, did they complete your program? Were they still with you? What happened? Did they drop out? But if they got into school, we want to know that. And then your prior year participants, you may have some people, if you were in business that year before in 22, 23, or before, you've got prior year participants. So did any of those prior year participants, especially the ones who you said had completed your program but hadn't enrolled yet, they had that time frame to the next fall to be able to get enrolled so that they can help you in meeting your objective. You have an objective. Your enrollment objective is about, it gives them 1 year. They have to enroll by the next fall. So you definitely want to update all, if you know that people have enrolled. And the other important thing for your past participants, not just on the, their first year enrollment, they may be past that. But if you've got people that are in school, you need to be updated. You need to get that National Student Clearinghouse or however you're getting your data and making sure if are they still in school? Did they graduate? Did they complete a degree? Because they may not, even though it's not your 6-year cohort yet, you want, as soon as you know they've finished something, go ahead and get it in there. And then you have that information, because remember, there's a few other performance measures that the Department of Ed are looking at besides your objectives for that 6-year. They're looking to see if somebody enrolled in a 2-year program, did they complete it on time, or did, or if they went to a bachelor's program, did they complete it on time? So how, I didn't go off to some.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, that's perfect, Mary, because I believe she was, asking about that specific field. And I just put the answer I put in there that, you know what? We know too much because this report is due so late into the next project year. By February and March, a lot of stuff that happened for spring of 2025, but it's beyond the reporting period they're asking for. So it's like we have more information. We know too much at this point in time. And sometimes we try to force that onto the APR that is specifically, like Mary said, usually for 99% of us, September 1st of 2023 to whatever happened by August 31st of 2024. But by now we know too much. If somebody actually had done something after that time period, you're almost supposed to forget about that, right, Mary? You're not supposed to know.
Yes, don't hold off on that, because sometimes that causes, in some of the questions, it causes an error to come up. And when you submit everything might look good if you're using Blumen or Access, or oh, I got my stuff and they left. But when you upload it into the Department of Ed's program, it causes an error because that date is out of the range. So try to keep in mind, what was their status? I'm trying to answer the question about what is their status as of August 31 or September 31, if that's when your cutoff date is. But you want to know, okay, what is the status of this person? And for example, if you had somebody who participated in 23-24 and they were still working with you maybe into 24-25, September, October, and then they got done with you and they started school in January of 5. Now, that person is going to be a continuing participant. You need to answer all your questions as if that person is still participating. Because at the end of 24, on August 31 of 24, they are still participating. They're still getting services. But oh, wait, you say, I already know they're enrolled. But if I put that on there, they can't be a continuing participant. You can't have your last day, you can't have a date of enrollment into post-secondary without having a last date of service. And your last date of service, again, you've got to stay in this window of time that we're trying to report on. So it seems like in some of the answers and even the instructions, it seemed like, oh God, that, it would make sense. They're asking me to give the most up-to-date information, but I personally
They
have
don't
had
want the up-to-date.
yeah, I've personally experienced the problems that can cause. And so, and had to get some help sorting out, why is this a problem? Because this is really what happened with my student. But you've got to keep in mind, again, I would just try to reiterate what you want to do on that. What is the status of this student, this particular veteran, and let me answer those questions based on what do I know as of August 31 or whatever is the last day of that program year. if it's
And
something
you,
different than September
and
1 to
you,
August
you,
31.
and you know nothing more after that period of time. You have to forget
Until
what you
your
know.
next APR.
Right, until
Okay,
the
until
next
your next
APR.
one. And
All
then
right.
you're going to update those things. And that's why it's good to have this information and have it available for you. Absolutely.
So I'm going through some of the fields while y'all, if anybody wants to ask a question, type it or raise your hand.
Victoria, did that help you? Did that answer
Give
the
us give us
question?
a thumbs up if it answered that question for you. Yes.
It might have been
Thank
overkill, but
you.
anyway.
Thank you. So I'm trying to get to some of these other fields in the meantime that might be an issue. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, we're at the low risk. I don't think that's so much
Well,
of an issue.
sometimes if this is your first time, just know we've had to be asking these at-risk questions. And sometimes the choices might be confusing when you either have to answer yes or no, or they were a prior, or continuing participant served before 2012, 2017. Well, back before then, because it was we didn't have to answer those questions about out of school. We didn't have at-risk criteria, but we always did have to ask the question about disability. And so they do expect you to have an answer, and there shouldn't be anybody that says it's not applicable. And you had to be having your grant had to be around a lot, a couple of cycles ago, to be having to choose a 9 on here. And also,
And
yes,
no, I was just going to say that these are beginning of year, I mean, beginning of entry upon entry questions that you don't have to update anymore after they're new. But I would recommend that these are questions you don't wait to answer later on. You
this
know
is
what I'm
something
saying?
you should have gotten an application at the beginning, at the very beginning, because you're going to judge how they were eligible to participate in answering that. And then once you set this for your new participants, it cannot be changed. And be
We have
yeah.
about 23 people on the call. Somebody wanted to know about that. And then also, Mary,
I know we had several that couldn't join, that had registered but couldn't join. But
right. We had more that registered, but pretty much a good number. Sometimes you could see how if you wait till the end of the year to do this, you might be thinking, oh, this is after. I know it says at the time of initial selection,
yes.
but the last thing you want to do is have more fields to worry about or second guess yourself on. So
Yeah.
try to make sure that 17, 18, and I believe 19 are answered upon entry, and then
Mhm.
you never look back again. Okay.
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
right.
because your
So yeah.
instructions tell you there's several questions at the time of selection at the beginning. And then once you've answered, there's, some of them you cannot change. So this is a great time to be going through your database and making sure you've got names spelled correctly, birth dates entered correctly. You'd be surprised that some of that's an easy thing if, who's ever doing data entry, just, checking those things, double checking, making sure you don't have any punctuation in the name. Just little things that could because you cannot change somebody's name, the spelling of the name, once that in subsequent years. You can't change somebody's birth date. So you want to make sure that you've got it right.
Right. Because once it goes in wrong, it has to stay wrong. Right, Mary? The name, last
Yes.
name, date of birth, all that stuff. We do have someone who has a question, and she was going to pull an example from her database, and that's totally fine as long as you raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and let you. I believe we might be able to let you share your screen. All I ask is what fields does it you think it involves, so that I can also have the how should we say, the spreadsheet on the right field as well. So let me see if we can go ahead and let you speak and share your screen. I'm looking. Terry. Okay, so Terry, we're gonna
Sure.
promote to panelist. Hope we don't lose you there for a second. Allow you to talk. Okay, Terry, you should be able to go ahead and I'll stop sharing. Thanks for joining us, Terry. And when you're ready, she's going to rejoin as a panelist so that she can share.
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure
Yeah.
can. When you're ready, you should be able to share your screen. There you go. We see something coming on board. And if you could make that a little bit bigger, do you know how to do that? I think if you're on the webs
There you
there.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
Good go.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and I think this may help Victoria a little bit. I'm recently a new director. I just got promoted in September. This is my first APR.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm working on updating everyone's information right now. And I just got through doing all the new and continuing. This was one that was new for 23-24. He obviously, like, this is up to date. So his date of last service, 8/14/24, completed in 23-24, program entry date of May 24. He started school in August. So I put that he has a post-secondary enrollment cohort of 24-25.
That's
Should
not, yeah, I mean, that, yeah, and he will be 24, not 23. Yes, so good. Yep. Go ahead.
should I be doing this essentially?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yes, because it happened within this program year.
Okay, so
So
for
see, that's what you're going back in here, but you're not going to change him. I mean, he was a new student for this program year. But if they were continuing and being carried over, that would be a different, like the example that I gave.
right,
So you're going to have this person, but your date of his first enrollment and your last date of service, because even you couldn't have, if he'd have started school, he could have started school, or she, on the 15th would have been the earliest. You have to have that last date of service, and then you have to have this you've got their schooling. But just keep in mind, so that's what happened during this program year. And so now you've got him, now he's enrolled, and so he doesn't have he's still gonna be in here, but he has completed your program.
So this person, Mary, in 1 year did everything we hope
Yes.
everybody would do.
Yes.
They were
It
new
was so
during the
great.
year,
Yes.
completed the program. He received his last service prior to enrolling in college in the fall. So he has a college cohort enrollment of 2024. So this is a student that in 1 year did everything positive.
Yes.
So what's your question, Tara? Is it you're just wanting to confirm?
well, yes, sort of. And so his year information for 23-24 obviously would be new. Um, I guess I just wanted to make sure that if we
And you
have
need it.
someone that is new and or new or continuing for 23-24, if we can still report them as new or continuing for 23-24 because they were, and also still put all of their current post-secondary information into the
You
database
need
and
to get
report.
that. Yeah. Anybody, if those people who were continuing and went to school, and you've got to get that everything that happened in 23-24 you want to report on. So absolutely all your new people, but you want to just, what I was trying to just reiterate is make sure what happened by August 31. Do you have that? Report on that. And those folks who were your continuing people, so they were with you in 22-23, and they continued over into 23-24. So now what you're telling us about what's important for you to tell about is that participant was a continuing participant. So what happened in 23-24? Answer your questions about post-secondary, answer the questions about the services they got. Tell us what happened. When was their last day of service? Get their enrollment in there, because you're going to set those timelines for when they have gone to school. But it's also important, you could have a past participant. You could have somebody who would be a past participant. You could have had somebody who was active in 22-23 and completed your program but hadn't enrolled yet. They have until fall of that next year to affect your objective. So you need to update it on your prior year participants as well.
Yes, ma'am. That's what I'm trying to work on right now. There's a whole
Yeah.
lot of them.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And so this is why we say, don't wait, start getting that information as early as you can, as quick as, because you need to have as much information in your database updated, but just focus on, what did happen? What do you know? Well, you've also got to know about past participants.
Can I ask a question regarding this? And this is also for you, Tara. Mary, do you see on field 41? And this is the same student in question. This was a brand new student that did everything in 1 year. It says college status at the beginning of the next academic year, which would have been fall 2024. Is it correct, Mary, to leave it accepted, but not yet?
No, I would just say he's not read and wrote, because this will be an error for her. So because she's saying he had a start date in August.
So field 40
he started school. Yeah.
Yeah, so field 41, Tara, if you click that pull down menu, I believe should be code 2, which is first year student in post-secondary education on field.
That was my next
or if he's
question.
further along.
That was my next question. However, I've already ran suspect reports for new and continuing, and it didn't throw a code for this. And
Well,
I
that doesn't. Well, this is. Is this access? This is so Bloomin' and Access. Your data may look fine and not cause an error, or it may say you don't have any errors. And when you go to upload this information over into your Department of Ed website, and it could be you have over there, you have his first date of enrollment. And so this is where you could have your answers can even be online and still have, so if this person has already started school, back up there where you said, he had an August 15th, I think, or I don't know what day it was.
21st.
Okay, for their enrollment date. So is he already attending classes, or is he just accepted?
So that was kind of why I wanted to ask, because his first post-secondary enrollment date is 8/19/24. And the question is asking college status at beginning of academic year. So is it asking the beginning of the 24-25 academic year?
Yes.
Or beginning of 23-24 academic year?
24. Is this the 24? So you can just think of this. This is at the beginning of the 24 program year. So this is at the end of your, so like, okay, August 31, September 1. Okay, what's his status at the beginning of this academic year? And so this is the academic year, this next academic year that you're getting ready to do. So.
Okay, so this is asking what his college status is pretty much August of 2024.
Yes.
Okay, so he would be first year student in post-secondary education.
Okay, and just does he have any hours before that? Because he might be a continuing student. I mean, I don't know what his status is. If they had any
He's a new student.
He might not be brand new. I mean, like, is this somebody who's brand new to college? They're
Yes, ma'am. He's just
getting
a high school
freshmen.
graduate.
Okay.
Right. So this student cannot be a participant in a college enrollment or enrollee at the same time, but the college enrollment date is after his last date of service.
So it's good. Yeah. So
Right,
you could
Mary?
just think about your timeline, because this is like when they started with you, when they're done with you. Now we want to know about their college after this. And then we want to know about the post-secondary enrollment is after their participation with you. When did they get enrolled in post-secondary? And what is their status as they are coming in there? And when you look at that drop-down menu, it could be it may be the first time they've ever gone to post-secondary, but it could be that they have, like if you've got somebody that has 20 hours or 30 hours or 50 hours and they just came and participated with you. So, I mean, we have a lot of people that they're not like high school seniors getting out of high school. But it might not have ever gone to college before. So this is where you're going to look at what is their status.
Okay, I think this has helped. My main concern was partially that, but mainly if they can be new, or can we report on them as continuing and or new for 1 year, and also have them enrolling in school that same year, how that works. But I
Yeah.
think
Well,
I understand what that's saying.
and then in number 42, you're going to have, so this remediation, and some of these they are looking for because this person is, but is into school, and if they're not in the 23-24 post-secondary cohort, or they're looking for your active people, you're having to answer this question on 42 about because this is their first enrollment, and did they enroll, did they go in a 0 level class or what? So,
I'm going to put that in the, let me put it in the chat. Let's see here, everyone about that, because that is asking when the instructions were updated. This is to be, gosh, I hope I copied it correctly here. Submitted. Okay, and I'm going to hit enter.
well, when you
Okay.
look at the spreadsheet and
And I'm looking at the instructions too.
Yeah,
I copy
yeah,
and pasted from field
yeah.
42. Please provide data as available at the time of the APR submitted for participants in the 2023 post-secondary educational enrollment cohort. So those that, completed the program and enrolled by, let's see here.
By the
specific
end of
time.
July,
Right.
they would have been in the 23-24.
And so I'm at
So
the
this is where it
spreadsheet
makes
here.
it confusing for the other ones who you're reporting on. And so you may have to answer this question for this person, anybody who enrolls in August in the next year. But it's just it is a very, just it'll give you just these errors. It's nuts.
Let me go ahead and do this. Let me allow, and I'm going to show the choices here. I don't know if you can see that for
Yeah.
42.
And so just where we just updated the dates, but yeah, it absolutely, and in your database should probably, if your database is uploaded, or changed or updated, they're looking here, if you have, they're going to be checking to see what your cohort was in field 38. And then they're wanting to know about this very first enrollment that individual is having.
So she would have to answer 42 for this.
She would have to Yeah, but she would, but because these folks are, so field 38, is that what their completion year, or is that can you go back up to let me see.
38 is
I
the
think when
enrollment
they had to
cohort.
set the cohort, if it's your post-secondary cohort, they're trying to find out how many of these people that were in this cohort. Yeah, so it's the
So when I
secondary.
ran the suspect information for all of my new and continuing, there were a lot that I had to fix because, for instance, this person has an enrollment cohort of 24-25,
Yeah,
but he entered school. So I
yeah,
automatically thought okay, he's in school, placed into college level math and English, whatever, go on.
yeah.
However, I ran the suspect report and it threw an error because he is not
Yes.
in the 23-24 cohort. So I
Yeah.
had to
So
click this one.
yes, so you have to have, so they're wanting to know about these people that they're looking at for 23-24. But you might have some people in your prior year participants. So just thinking ahead, like 1 year out, okay, they're gonna be in the 24 cohort, and you're gonna have to answer this for them the next time.
Yes, ma'am.
So you might have some of those prior year people or continuing folks who you have to answer this question for.
And again, the breakdown, if you can look at the instructions that are also in the Google Drive, the Google
Yeah.
Drive,
Or
they
if you
will
have-
take you through a more detailed, and I think you can see it here, where the dates have been updated. All we did was add another year to what the dates were listed there before. Hopefully that will help. And yes, it will.
I think that'll help or make you more confused, but hopefully not.
I think I'm good now. I think I just wanted to.
But yeah, but you're absolutely right. You have to, and it's really good to go through those verifications or checks or whatever your program calls it, so that you can make sure if there are any loops in there that you might have any kind of error, that so you can work on that beforehand. Because sometimes there's still, I know that, in past years, everything looks good, but when I uploaded over here, there was some other little something that would pop up. So you really, trying to stay on top of it as much as you can before that, you have that 30-day submission time is important.
Okay, let's see. I don't see any other questions, but I'm going to get clarification. Someone put a chat. Beatrice, I was going to ask you if you could clarify for what fields. They may give recommended date ranges for some fields to remove the error. Not sure what you mean by that. Do you know what she means?
Yes. Well,
okay.
yeah, like there's some things on some of them, it'll say like you have, your answer over here doesn't match up because
Gotcha.
there's, somebody has to they had to be in this area to, during this period of time. And so when you're doing those verifications, it sometimes does give you a clue to go back to what fields that could be having an issue, or making sure,
But like for instance here with where they give you some dates, for example. And so you might want to look at I always have the instructions plus the spreadsheet plus my database going between the three of them to try to get clarification. And unfortunately, sometimes the department, you would think on a very important question, it says self-explanatory, because I was look, fields 39 through 41, self-explanatory. You're on your own, basically, when it comes to those fields. And people may have some, really legitimate questions about those fields, right? So it's basically blew off 41. It didn't even go into more detail about that. And yeah, there's some here, there's some date. It mentions what date the APR data for this field should reflect. It says when it's submitted, but then if you do that, it'll trigger error messages. So that's not absolutely correct either. Right, Mary? If you
yes,
put information that is so yeah, I'm trying to be completely up to date as of February 15th, this is what I know happened. The student went to college by, the spring of 2025. If I answer to that, I could get error messages, even though it told me by the time you submit, make sure it's updated. But then, no. We meant up until August 31st of 2024.
And a lot of, one example of where this gives an error, and somebody can say if they've experienced this as well, but sometimes if you have somebody who was new in your program, came in and did their stuff, left you enrolled in a certificate program, and they already completed that certificate. For example, those folks who go to truck driving school. And so they completed everything, like they did perfect. They came, they got their stuff, they enrolled, they completed, and now they're graduated. And so anyway, sometimes, I've had where that the last few years it hasn't, but that it definitely sometimes would cause but I would just wait to even report that their graduation until the next time, even though it fell within that time frame, and it still could, because you can always update those things. But anyway, it's important to try to do as much as you possibly can to get in, to put in there your information. Know that the length of active duty is just asking you specifically about a particular post-secondary cohort, and it has to do with the one who would be the 6-year cohort. They've not ever done anything to do, they're just gathering some data. But if you know that your veteran in that because this is the one that affects your last objective for graduation, and did they graduate within that 6-year period? So this is why keep putting the information in there. You'll have to do all of it, by then. But also, if you know that anytime, and make sure that, you've got something to base that on. But if you know they were in school, and while they were going to school or while they were trying to get that degree, were they called to active duty while they were going to school, is what this is about.
Okay. Do we have any other questions on any other fields? Not sure, Mary, if you wanted to pick on another field that is usually a issue with folks.
Well, setting the post-secondary cohort sometimes is a little tricky, as we were already, looking at.
What
So,
field is a 41?
and I think it's that.
No, it's 40.
I think it is 38. Was it field 38?
Okay. Let me find it. This one here. The code and
Yeah, so in setting these, thinking about this time frame here for post-secondary enrollment, and this is based on, the academic year. So it looks at you're answering these questions for everybody has to have something in this field. And so all your new people that you've had, if they, so, and the 8888, they have not yet enrolled, but time frame allows. So that goes back to those individuals who might already have completed your program, but have not yet enrolled yet, but it's not, they have into that next fall. This is important. Also, for those folks who are still working with you, who are still participating, who are going to be continuers for the next program year, they're going to be 8888. But if you would roll that up just a little bit, Lisa.
Sure.
So 9999s are those who don't qualify for a cohort. Oh, is that the very end of that?
That's 37.
38. Okay, if you go to
You want me to go to the
back
end
on
of
38 and roll that, yeah, down.
Oh, roll it down.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
But
And
it's
this is
talking about, there's places and times when someone they don't qualify for a cohort. And that's what all of this stuff is trying to tell you. So, if they were, completed your program in a certain project year, they have to enroll by a certain time. And here's also where, the year, it's explaining about your years and in that time frame where they have time to be able to get this. And when you have to be a 2024, even if they completed your program in 22, but they enrolled during August or September. So this is where, selecting that, but it's these other options. So if you'll roll up or down, going on down the page where this explanation is.
Mhm.
So this academic year that they're talking about, they're using the academic year as August to July. And so the cutoff is July 31 in these different things. You have that 9999 if here's some criteria when they don't qualify for a cohort year. So you've either got 8s or you've got 9s. Those 8888s, if they left your program without completing and haven't enrolled at all, they're maybe still working with you. Or if they completed and they haven't gotten there, you're going to have them as 8888 in this field. The 9999s are a little tricky. So if they left before completing and they enrolled anyway, this is why I always say, you need to know how you define completing your program, because it's possible, that somebody left before completing, but they enrolled in a program of post-secondary after leaving you. Completing VUB in a 22-23 year, and the dates for the 22 cohort have passed. So they had to enroll by that September of 23, or they couldn't be counted. And so if they were in a 22 cohort. So some of those folks now, that you thought, well, they were by that fall, you got to make sure you're getting that information, or that if you're waiting on somebody, or they have till that next fall to get enrolled, and they've left your program and completed, you thought they completed. This is where knowing about your people, now we've got a little bit of time. Here you are already 6 months into this next year. I would just tell you folks that, no, you're not reporting on 24, 25, but some stuff that's happened about 24, 25. So these people that you're saying are continuing into your 24, 25 project year, make sure you already have delivered some service. They have to have services to be an active participant. They have to have services delivered to them in 24, 25. If you're bringing people forward and saying they're still participating, and you're going to put their end of the year status, and I think that's field 20 maybe, of whether they completed your program or they left you for whatever reason. or you have the choice to say they're still participating. And so these are the folks that in 24, 25, you're going to say, no, that's a lot. That's, I talk about academic need too much. It may be 23. Wait, or 26. I bet it's 26 or 25. I don't know what it is. Here we go.
26.
No,
Is
a
it
little
26?
bit. Okay, it's the end of the year status. So obviously I don't know what the number is. So I'm sorry.
There's 30, and then there's 31 completion.
So now, okay, wait. Okay, right. Reasons for leaving. So when your reasons for leaving you, and you want to make sure if you're saying that this person is still participating, did not they're the 88s, these folks that are still in your program, they are still working with you. They're gonna be your continuers for next year. And this is really important of how you're gonna tag them, because you're telling the Department of Ed right now, they're gonna be my active people next year. And so you want to make sure that they've done enough to have services, and before that, or you might want to say they did not complete your program. Does that make sense? Hopefully to somebody.
Let me, I think this is in the same area, just confirming, what if the veteran never completed the program and we close them out as did not complete? Do we code them as an 888 until the end of the next project year, or do we automatically code them as a 999 since they did
No,
not
no, no, they
complete?
would be an 8888 till forever. I mean, you can have people who are 888, didn't complete your program and didn't enroll. Now, they may not be still working with you, so they might not be an 88 on that status, but they can say did not complete your program and they're no longer participating. That is definitely a choice. They would still qualify. I mean, they still could qualify because they didn't complete your program.
Okay.
You shut the door on that. If you say somebody completed your program, but they haven't enrolled in post-secondary, you give them 1 year. Their clock starts at that point. And if they don't enroll by that next fall, they get a 999 cohort, and that can never be changed. The 9999s can never be changed, and they cannot be a re-entry participant.
Okay.
They
Alrighty.
can come back and be a re-entry if they were an 8888. So if they don't complete your program and don't enroll, somewhere down the line, they can come back. So they could come back in the middle of the next year and show up, and you could reactivate them. They might show up in 3 years, 5 years, and you could bring them back and restart them. But they cannot, based on the information about a re-entry participant. And if you look at all the things that say, if they ever enrolled, if you ever report that they enrolled, they cannot come back and be an active participant again.
Okay. So thank you, Mary. I know we have some really good questions, and hopefully, we answered some of them, if not all of them. Mary, if you could put your email address in the
Oh, sure.
chat.
And if anybody has any if we're going to do this again, or if there are questions that
Yes.
come up, that you have, and that we could prepare for, or that you want to send in between now and then, or talk to us about, that'd be okay to share. We'll be glad to. We want to just try to, we don't know everything, but I want, like, I've made a lot of mistakes, and that's how I've learned a lot of this stuff. So
We're more right than wrong, but we've been wrong and then had to correct ourselves. definitely, but
It's okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and it also on the situation, and if you feel that there's a situation you want to talk to Mary, you know, about, send her an email. And also if you want extended additional one-on-one assistance, we do have her virtual technical assistance with the APR available as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. We'll send the recording out within 24 hours and hope to see you next week. Let your all other colleagues know. And maybe there'll be another a question we can focus on, or we'll pick a field to kind of pick to death as well. Right, Mary, to get the conversation going. Okay. And thank you for sharing
Thanks, Dawn.
your screen and all that good stuff. That's always
Good to
helpful.
see you. Yeah.
Thank you all so much, and we will
Have a great rest of your week. Happy
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, and I'll upload the that signature, digital signature thing as well. And so you'll have that as well. So I'm going to stop the recording.